The Longest Journey is a point-and-click adventure video game developed by Funcom that released in 1999 in Norway, although it did not release in other countries until the following year. The heart of the game is the story, and of course the characters. You take on the role of April Ryan, a young art student from a futuristic Earth, who finds a parallel world where magic exists, having to balance the two worlds together. The game's settings makes uses of a mixture of science fiction elements as well as high fantasy elements. According to howlongtopete.com, the game is 17.5 hours, but if you're me and you get stuck at puzzles, my playtime ended up being around 46 hours. The game has 13 chapters where you travel between the two worlds. The writing can be comedic, but not laugh out loud funny, but certainly has humour and definitely doesn't take itself seriously. The more I think about the game, the more amazed I am with the voice acting and the writing. I noticed when you're back home, you certainly can tell it is set in the future, but has a more dystopian look to it. You got all these technological advances, but in some ways, probably no different in society than we are now. You got homeless people, you got addicts, you got corrupted police. In contrast, you got Arcadia, the parallel world you travelled to. You got more natural places, and things just feel much better here. Arcadia also has a more unique creatures instead of using typical dwarves or any other things you might find in a fantasy settings. Gameplay wise, the graphics were very impressive for 1999, but playing this on a modern computer, for me, on Steam, I personally had problems with the character models not fully loading, but it was never too much an issue. The puzzles, however, you need to pay good enough attention, clicking on literally everything, having items throughout many chapters, something you just might get very early on that you don't use until chapters later. You can also combine items, which in some ways made it difficult because you just have to combine items that you never think of to solve puzzles. Because of this, I mainly had to look up videos when getting stuck, which definitely takes away from the fun of the game and the fun of puzzle solving when I had to look it up. Especially when I'll be getting to a point where I'm just pacing back and forth different places. The puzzles ain't a strong point, which is a shame because it is a point-and-click adventure game, but the story definitely is. Another issue is the long dialogue. There are many times in the game where you're talking to a certain character, which basically just feels like you're talking to them for 15 minutes, which is good for storytelling, but bad for the gameplay aspect. Another detail in the game that I found interesting is April's diary, which basically just updates throughout the game. You don't have to necessarily read it, but it's just a neat detail that they have. In conclusion, I do think it's a good game with a story, good protagonist, just sucks at the puzzles. So I'm hoping this review was informative enough if you were considering about getting this game. It's certainly not for everyone. It also received a few sequels, but I've never played them personally, but maybe in the future I will revisit them to do a review of. But yeah, this was my short review of The Longest Journey. More reviews will be coming out in the future of me basically just recommending retro video games. If you've got any feedback, do let me know. But that's going to be it for me for now. So cheers everyone for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.